My phone was just blowing up with all of these messages and calls, and I was getting calls from all of these clients and sellers and friends. Those sellers didn't know what was going to happen until it happened to them. Hi, I'm Sean Farrington, and this week I had a conversation with a business owner who was upset and disturbed because Amazon suddenly made him ineligible for paid advertising. Now, he has a great product in the beauty niche, but the issue was that sellers in his space were making these hyperbolic claims about enhancement of female body parts. And Amazon saw this shift in the marketplace, and Amazon recategorized his product under sexual wellness. And if you know anything else, once that product became recategorized under sexual wellness, all of a sudden, that product was now ineligible for paid advertising on Amazon. And sadly, he became a victim of what is called the forefront shift. And let me explain this quickly. Now, when I first started on Amazon many moons ago, I had this misconception about the A9 algorithm, that the A9 algorithm was kind of like some kind of digital barrier that kept me from gaining access to certain keywords, like a giant digital barricade, you know? But then in 2017, something happened. And I remember one morning I rolled into work and my phone was just blowing up with all of these messages and calls. And I was getting calls from all of these clients and sellers and friends and who were telling me about how they had just lost all of their reviews. Now, some had lost 2/3 of the reviews, some had lost all of their reviews. They were gone, just completely wiped out. Now, if you were around during that time, you know this is what came to be known as ReviewGate. And ReviewGate taught me a lesson about the A9 algorithm, and it taught me that the A9 algorithm is not static. It's not like some impersonal object. It's not actually like a barricade at all. Because up to this point, I kind of thought that that's what the A9 algorithm was. Now, I don't know if maybe you've had similar thoughts about the A9 algorithm, but for me, ReviewGate showed me that the programmers who created and adjusted the A9 algorithm worked with intention and motive. And I began to see the A9 algorithm was much more of like a paintbrush in the hand of an artist rather than just an impersonal digital barricade. You see, the algorithm was just a tool that ultimately was a way to express the desire and the will of the leadership at Amazon. In this case, Amazon had been undergoing a huge PR crisis where news stories were circulating about how the reviews on Amazon couldn't be trusted and that reviews were all fake. So what Amazon did was, in response, to just adjust the algorithm. They found a way to root out the review mavens, that is the people who would kind of leave fake reviews in exchange for payment or free products or whatever. They figured out how to root out these review mavens and remove any and all reviews that they had ever given. And the result was ReviewGate, right? And here's the important lesson for you. They did not let anyone know that ReviewGate was coming. They just did it. And then these business owners were upset because their listings were, on the forefront of that shift. And that shift was completely unannounced. And that's why this is called a forefront shift. It's a shift that is made rapidly and it's unannounced. And those sellers didn't know what was going to happen until it happened to them. Here's the other thing you need to understand is that when this forefront shift happens, it's often unjust. The changes just happen indiscriminately across the board. So in this case, there were many sellers who had received honest, unpaid, non-incentivized review from these review mavens. After all, review mavens, use Amazon to buy the products they want as well. But because at some point, those reviewers had begun to choose incentivization to make positive reviews, had allowed themselves to be incentivized to make positive reviews, then all of the reviews were wiped out, both good and bad. Now, at first, no one knew what was going on. That morning, I had no idea what was going on. We just were getting calls from all of these clients and friends and sellers, and that's how it often happens. That's how we first recognize these forefront shifts, when I start getting calls and we start getting calls from clients and friends who are reaching out to us, wondering what is going on. And then we start to gather information little by little. And then we reach out to people who are in our paid masterminds, and slowly a picture starts to develop. And It only took a few hours that day to realize what happened. And then moments later, months later, the public finds out, right? After the information kind of trickles down. And this is what happened just last year. You were seeing listings begin to get suppressed because the main images were causing suppression. And maybe you had this happen to you. What was happening was the A9 algorithm was suppressing main images because they had text on them. Now, it's true that Amazon terms of service state that you cannot use text as callouts in main images because Amazon does not want a cheap, spammy looking, site with all these crazy images and nonsense like that. It doesn't really fit their brand feel. But as I said earlier, when these forefront shifts happen, they often happen indiscriminately. They're chaotic, they're unjust. So in this case, with the main images, it was pretty much the same. Amazon was now suppressing listings with main images that had writing on them. Any kind of writing of any kind, including the writing that's on the labels on the products. I'm talking about the labels that are part of the actual product. So what do you do when these forefront shifts happen? Well, I want to give you those action steps, but first, if you've been watching this far, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button because that helps me to know that I'm providing value and it makes my mama proud of me. Okay, so what do you do if you suspect that you might be experiencing a forefront shift? Step one, confirm it. Reach out to other sellers, reach out to experts and see if they're experiencing a similar thing. Then when you confirm it, step two, get on a call. And you're going to patiently and gently discuss with the seller support rep what's going on. Now you need to understand it's going to probably take time to resolve this. And here's the sad truth. Oftentimes, Amazon's own seller support staff have no idea what is happening or what has happened. Amazon support employees are not told about these changes. They're just often baffled and surprised as you are. I can't tell you how many times that I or one of my team members have broken the news to a seller support employee about these forefront shifts. Now, often the support staff can see the issue and it's glaringly obvious to them, like they're saying, hey, this listing is suppressed for the main image because it has text on it. But there's no text on it and they can see it. It's like just the label of the product, like happened with the main images last year. But they can't do anything about it. And often they'll have to escalate the issue. So I made a whole video on how to deal with seller support in a way. It really does go into depth on how to deal with this issue in a way that gets results. But after you do that, then step number three, have contingencies. Amazon is weird. I've said this before. Amazon is weird, so you should have a backup plan. Have a backup inventory. Have backup listings. And even if you're big enough, have a backup account. We do this for our hybrid system clients because when it comes to Amazon, it's just good to be a little bit paranoid. And another thing, it's always good to realize that you're playing someone else's game when you sell on Amazon. It's not your game, it's Amazon's game, and they make the rules, and basically you just get to follow them. So it's always important to understand the terms of service so that you know exactly what those rules are. That way, if you decide to push the boundaries of the terms of service, you can do it knowing that you need to have a backup plan. And then you won't be as shocked when those changes happen. And by setting up contingencies, you have something to fall back on if things begin to go bad. And understand that things will go bad. The reality is these forefront shifts seem to be happening with increasing frequency. Right now, I'm just noticing them more and more. The A9 algorithm is becoming more sophisticated and it's making more sweeping changes. And those changes are clumsy and can oftentimes take months to sort out. But I say this not to make you afraid, but to encourage you not to freak out, to take the steps above, and to always believe that there is a path forward. So hopefully that was useful to you. If so, hit that like and subscribe button. And if you haven't seen these videos, check them out. Until next time, I hope your sales are booming and your business is blessed. Talk to you soon. Bye.